Coming up, incredible breakthroughs in cancer research, plastics, as well as an ALS breakthrough, along with some good news bangers. Welcome to Total Annihilation, your existential halftime. I am Nile Segay, aka Optimist Prime. How are you? How you doing? Welcome to the treehouse. Pull up a cushion, have a little pull of the shisha. I don't know what dumb thing I was gonna add on for this week's episode of just to show how little I know of tree houses. I don't know. It was the 80s, so do a bump off of a broken mirror you found in a junkyard. How are you guys? How are you doing? I hope you're well. I hope you're doing okay. I'm doing all right. I can't complain. Been better, but been a lot worse. Worse. Um, Listen, I get the feeling I'm probably doing better than a lot of you because I haven't been watching the news this week. I actually wasn't able to make the Beaverton last week, so it's been 2 weeks really that I've been sort of, you never, even without watching the news, you kind of get some news through osmosis. It leaks in, but for the most part, I have not been. I've not been plugged in. I don't know the specifics of what's going on. I got vague outlines of what's happening, and I'm not gonna lie. I don't know. I think that's worked out for me. I feel a lot better, and I get the feeling I wouldn't had I been keeping up on the news. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. But I tried to make this one a little heftier than the past few episodes because I get the feeling people need that. I don't know. I don't even have anything to add to that. It's not going to be like a 3-hour episode, but I've thrown a little more meat on it this time, just to ease your existential angst. So let's get to the thing that probably helps the most, and the thing that we are all here for, really. It is the top 10 favorite good news items from our home office in Finger, Manitoba. Here we go. Guys, I did it. I tried to do it this week again. I'm getting better. I did work on this episode in the off week, in the bye week, as they say in football, and I still haven't been able to catch up on the good news. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to send them to me, totalannihilation@gmail.com, or if you have any suggestions or at all. I left 19 stories on the cutting room floor. I have to figure out a way to catch up on this. Just because, not in a sort of like an OCD or an aggro, gotta get everything done way, but just because they're really nice stories that I think would help people to hear about. But we're going to focus on what we have now, and we'll figure out a way to get the rest of them to you at a later date through some other fun format. Here we go. In a landmark and uplifting judgment, India's Supreme Court has declared digital access a fundamental right, emphasizing that equitable access to online services is essential for a dignified life. The ruling, delivered by Justices J.B. Pardiwala and R. Mahadevan, I rehearsed those, and I was so confident that I was going to nail it, spike the landing right out of the gate, but not so much. Ensures that the state must proactively bridge the digital divide for all citizens, especially those in rural areas, people with disabilities, and marginalized communities. The ruling is also unique in that it marks the first time a judgment ended with the words "like" and "subscribe." I like that they didn't throw in like boomers, although I guess maybe they count as marginalized communities. How do you bridge that gap? I don't know. That's not mission impossible, but mission very difficult. By recognizing the internet as a key gateway to education, healthcare, governance, and economic opportunity, the court has taken a bold step toward a more inclusive and connected India. The ruling was greeted by a special kind of enthusiasm from 12-year-old boys who know they can now launch a civil suit against their parents for not letting them watch porn. is 12 too early for porn? You know what? I set the line. I'm like, that's a little early. Maybe 14. I should have written that as 14. Let's pretend I did. Um, I don't know. I was such a late burn. I was such a late bloomer. I don't even know what the appropriate age is. We're not going to go into my details. You don't need to know about that. The judgment. I'm not on my ADHD medications, if that's not clear by now. The judgment was sparked by a powerful public interest litigation from an acid attack survivor who faced discrimination during a bank's digital Know Your Customer process. The court issued 20 directives to make digital systems more inclusive, reinforcing that the right to life must now be, wait, what? Must now be interpreted in light of modern technological realities. That right to life thing totally threw me for a curveball. I don't think they mean it that way. With this ruling, India reaffirms its commitment to dignity, equality, and progress, paving the way for a future where no one is left behind in the digital era. This also marks the first time in history that an interaction with a bank led to something good. This is very interesting. I'm just connecting the dots on this now as I'm reading this. And there's a few more stories down the road involving sub-Saharan Africa. This is weird to say, but I think we're slowly starting to pull our own heads out of our collective asses in terms of how we think the West and the way we do things in the West is the default setting. I get the feeling that if we don't smarten up soon, we're going to get lapped by everybody. This is going to be a big 180 because it looks like, and again, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in India and sub-Saharan Africa that I don't know about that is not good. But it looks like the good stuff that these nations are doing, that these areas of the world are doing, are really focused on the thing that we talked about last time, which is human capital, which is like it's not straight cash, homie. It is not straight cash. It's like, let's get people going just to get people going, just to not be dicks. I think there's like an important cultural difference. And I think we're the problem because I'm looking at these stories. I'm like, oh, look at that. Like a lot of these sub-Saharan African nations, they sort of focus on human collateral and they see that as more important. What an interesting cultural difference. And then you look at India, you're like, oh, look at that. They're kind of investing in their people and like trying to, make it so that human capital is what an interesting cultural difference. But I'm starting to think it's like this thing. You know how like, and I'm sorry, please don't at me or cancel me. This is probably racist, but I'm half white, so I feel I get to say this. You know how a lot of times, maybe not as much now, but like in the 80s and 90s, white people will be like, oh, black people just age so well. They age so well. And then they'd be like, oh, Asians, what is the secret? You guys age so well. At one point, don't you stop and think, wait a minute, maybe everyone else isn't aging super well. Maybe you were just aging poorly. Food for thought. Moving on. In a groundbreaking leap forward, this is a pretty good one. Not that you have to brace yourself. I don't know what you do to brace yourself for a good news story. Do you like clutch the arms of your chair? I don't know. In a groundbreaking leap forward for brain-computer interface technology, a man with ALS has regained the ability to communicate and even sing using a device that translates his brain activity into expressive, real-time speech. I am sorry, unless you are like 20 and younger, that's a fucking crazy story. That's crazy that technology exists right now. Interestingly, one of the man's favorite songs is a little ditty called I'm Singing This As Loudly As Possible So No One Can Hear My Thoughts About the Hot Doctor's Package. I took a little time out before the punchline. I should have done the punchline and then ripped. But are you kidding me? We have technology that you could translate brain activity into expressive real-time speech. Come on. Guys, you got to take a moment to savor that one. That is a bonkers story. This new system goes beyond previous BCIs, which, by the way, implies that there was more of this before. This isn't even new. By capturing not just the words he intends to say, but also the tone, pitch and emotional nuance of his voice. The device was initially called the Sarcasmatron 2000, but no one could tell if that was the actual name or if the person was saying it just to be a dick. Thanks to artificial intelligence and a personalized synthetic voice trained on recordings from before his illness, the device lets him ask questions, make interjections, and convey meaning with natural rhythm and inflection within just milliseconds, of thinking it. The device is also available to women of color without any disability, but who just need a supercomputer so they can be heard. Ah, God damn it. I flubbed the landing there a little, but I think you get my point. This innovation marks a major step towards restoring true freedom of expression for people with severe speech disabilities. Unlike earlier models, this BCI doesn't rely on fixed vocabularies, maybe I should get one, or rigid sentence structures. I definitely need one, allowing spontaneous and unrestricted communication. The participants shared that hearing the device speak in what sounded like his own voice made him feel happy and as though he was truly being heard again. Optimistically, researchers say this could soon become a practical, everyday tool, bringing a powerful sense of agency and joy back into the lives of those who have lost their voices. This is crazy, right? This is crazy. That's a crazy one. This is technology that can allow people to speak when they, via their brain. I get the feeling that the way we speak is usually via our brain. Well, mouth by way of brain, but you know what I mean. I think that's amazing. That is amazing. No flying cars, but fuck off. That's great. Moving on. The third UN Ocean Conference in Nice concluded on a high note with over 170 countries adopting a unified declaration for urgent ocean protection. Just for your information, in case you were wondering, because I was. There's a total of 195 countries in the world. That's not bad. That's a very, very good number of participants. This pivotal event, co-hosted by France and Costa Rica, saw significant financial commitments, including a €1 billion investment from the European Commission for Conservation and French Polynesia's pledge to create the world's largest marine protected area. These ambitious actions reflect a powerful global consensus to address the ocean crisis. This also makes this the best event co-hosted by France and Costa Rica since the 2015 cigarette and coffee marathon that ended so unfortunately. I don't know enough about Costa Rica to write a better joke. I was way behind on deadline. I'm sorry. I will try to do better the next time. You know, it felt like it was right there though. Like, oh, Costa Rica and France. What is the thing that they could have hosted before? Probably someone with a better idea of history probably just came up with a great joke and you are just yelling it at your phone right now. Sorry. Beyond pledges, the conference achieved notable diplomatic success with 19 more nations ratifying the High Seas Treaty, boosting its total to 50. This surge of support signals strong momentum for safeguarding international waters. Despite ongoing challenges, the positive spirit and collective responsibility demonstrated in Nice offer strong hope for a healthier ocean, driven by shared commitment and the promise of accelerated action in years to come. The only blemish came when it was revealed Morocco had only signed on because they misunderstood what was meant by high seas. That's a hash joke, because Morocco has a lot of hash. Yeah, again, high seas, I was like, it's there. Perfect is the enemy of good. The U.S. solar industry achieved remarkable growth in the first quarter of 2025, adding 8.6 gigawatts of new solar module manufacturing capacity, one of its strongest quarters ever. The only industry to have a stronger first quarter this year, the only industries to have a stronger first quarter this year were psychotherapy and prescription anxiety medications. That would have been a good one if I hadn't. God damn it with the flubs. But I'm only doing one take. One take, Jake. This surge in domestic manufacturing, driven by new or expanded factories in Texas, Ohio, and Arizona, significantly boosts American energy independence. Furthermore, U.S. solar cell production capacity doubled to 2 gigawatts, and solar and storage technologies collectively accounted for an impressive 82% of all new electricity generating capacity added to the grid, highlighting solar's dominant and expanding role in the nation's energy mix. This also marks one of the first times in 2025 that a news story coming out of Texas didn't make you flinch. This historic growth underscores the solar industry's vital contribution to the U.S. economy and its pivotal role in generating clean electricity. These substantial investments and increased manufacturing signal a positive trajectory for American innovation and job creation. Despite potential legislative hurdles mentioned, the current boom in solar deployment and domestic production demonstrates a robust and optimistic outlook for a cleaner, more sustainable future in the United States. Listen, here's why I brought this up. Normally I'm like, yeah, US, that's a bit local. But I brought it up because, sorry, I was drinking there. But I brought it up because, first of all, this is still happening despite all of what Trump is doing, right? So let's not forget that. Let's bear that in mind. This is what I mean by it just really, all of this really, the whole renewable energy thing feels very inevitable and very imminent, in my opinion, in my uneducated opinion, but everyone's opinion is valid apparently because it's on the internet. So yeah, the other thing I would like to point out, 8 of the 10 states who led the way on this were red states. So bear that in mind. Moving on. In the face of frequent power cuts and regional instability, Niger is experiencing, I think it's Niger is experiencing a remarkable solar energy boom that is transforming lives and communities. Once plagued by long blackouts, neighborhoods in the capital Niamey, are now lit up by affordable solar panels, giving residents consistent electricity with no monthly bills. And if you are living in North America or any other developed, there's some air quotes if you can't see them, I feel like you should be able to hear them, nation, that last part hurts, right? Because I mean, no respect to Niger, but if they can give their residents free electricity, how the hell is our government being like, I don't, it's a really bad time right now for that. And we can't afford it. Maybe next year? It's like, dude, we know it's possible. We can see it's, but I can see that, right? I have access to that information. Vendors and families alike are embracing solar as a reliable and budget-friendly alternative, using it to light homes, power fans and televisions, and even launch small side businesses like phone charging stations. Thanks to falling prices, improved battery technology, and a growing number of skilled local technicians, solar energy is becoming increasingly accessible for everyday Nigerians? Because they're not Nigerians. Nigerians. If you're from Niger or Nigeria, feel free to email me and just put me on blast. I made a note to look up the pronunciation and I forgot. I'm sorry, guys. This surge in solar power is also extending to rural areas where panels help pump drinking water and refrigerate vaccines in schools and clinics, thanks to support from international partners. With access to electricity still below 20%, the country is investing in ambitious new solar projects, including the 19 megawatt facility near Agadez and a 200 megawatt initiative in development. Despite political and regional challenges, Niger, oh, I gotta get out of this story, it's killing me, is charting an optimistic path toward energy independence, harnessing its abundant sunshine to create opportunities, improve public health, and power a brighter, more resilient future. The part about the vaccines got me thinking. I mean, now that the US government's policies is that vaccines are filled with nanobots or whatever the fuck else, RFKs, Googly. can they just sell their vaccines at a reduced rate to countries like Niger? I mean, like they're not using it. No disrespect. I'm sorry, my fellow North Americans, my American friends. I empathize. I'm really sorry. This is a shitty thing that's happening to you. But I mean, you're not going to use them. Moving on. Octopus energy generation is making a significant and positive stride in its global green energy mission with the launch of the Octopus Energy Power Africa Fund, OEPA. This new fund is specifically designed to accelerate investment in renewable energy across sub-Saharan Africa to attract 250, starting with an initial investment of $16 million and aiming to attract $250 million over 3 years. The OEPA will funnel funds into transformative clean energy solutions such as rooftop solar, battery storage, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and grid upgrades, unlocking Africa's vast potential for sustainable power generation. If successful, many parts of Africa might eventually become like Wakanda, but if it was created by actual Africans. This initiative is a fantastic opportunity for forward-thinking investors to support impactful clean energy projects in one of the world's most exciting markets, which currently only receives 2% of global clean energy investment despite possessing nearly, and I hope you're sitting down, 40% of renewable resources. What? What? 40% of renewable resources are in sub-Saharan Africa? Guys, I know I've said this before. Listen, this is all vibes at this point. This is all vibes. Sure, whatever. I think some good stuff is coming out of sub-Saharan Africa in the next 10 years. Maybe less, maybe less. The whole investing in human capital, the pivot to like renewable energies, getting off of that fossil fuel, getting that fossil fuel monkey off your back. Now you got more money, more resources to invest in your people, which they are doing. People now just can get out from under. Oh, I'm so excited. So excited. I don't know what number this is. Number 5? Number 6? Are you keeping track? Oh, I should have numbered them. I'm going to try to go back and go through and count off the number 1, 2. Is this good podcasting? You enjoying this? 3, 4? Really? Yeah, 4. I think I missed one. I think this is actually going to be 6 coming up. Number 6, I think. For much of human history, a deep-rooted bias against girls led to widespread female infanticide and sex-selective abortions. But in a remarkable and hopeful shift, that trend is now reversing. Thanks to changing attitudes, government interventions, and the empowerment of women in education and the workforce, birth ratios are returning to normal in many of the countries that once had the most extreme imbalances. Another contributing factor, seeing how well the patriarchy has been performing in the past few forever. The number of excess male births has dropped dramatically from 1.7 million in 2000 to just 200,000 today, resulting in an estimated 7 million girls' lives saved over the past 25 years. This quiet but powerful progress is being driven by both policy and culture. Girls now outperform boys in school globally, and women are closing the wage gap and excelling in higher education. At the present rate, it is hoped that by 2040, things will have leveled out enough that a BIPOC female, unqualified convicted felon will be elected president. Free at last. Free at last. That's how you know when freedom is accomplished, is achieved. In places like South Korea and Japan, cultural preferences have swung towards daughters. And even in the US, parents using IVF or adopting are increasingly favoring girls. This is amazing news, cried every boy who will be a teenager in about 15 years, as well as about 10% of the girls. While challenges remain and some lingering stereotypes still shape parental preferences, the decline in the decline, pardon me, in sex-based discrimination at birth is a clear and heartening sign that societies can evolve. The world isn't just learning to accept daughters, it's beginning to celebrate them. Number 7. This month, a report from UNICEF stated that while the elimination of child labor remains an unfinished task, the latest global estimates indicate that the proportion of children in labor, in child labor, proportion of children in labor is probably pretty low because you don't have the piping. The proportion of children in child labor has more than halved since the beginning of the century. 25 years, dude. Some of that was due in part to the many boy bands of the early 2000s aging out of the industry. After a concerning rise in child labor captured by the global estimates for 2020, a feared further deterioration in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic has not materialized, and the world has succeeded in returning to a path of progress. There are over 100 million fewer children in child labor today than in 2000, even as the child population increased by 230 million over the same period. So it looks like the 2005 release of leftist guerrilla proletariat fighter Barbie wasn't as unsuccessful as was first thought. Sorry, I was still processing that. Sometimes my joke dies when I'm like, God damn, that's a lot. 100 million in 25 years? Come on. That is amazing. Oh, speaking of amazing, number 8, question mark? A groundbreaking UK trial has shown that a chemotherapy-free treatment for chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL, could offer more effective and gentler care for patients. The FLAIR trial, which involved 786 participants, well, they're probably patients, not just random people off the streets, 786 participants across 96 cancer centers found that a combination of 2 targeted drugs, ibrutinib and venetoclax, led to remarkable outcomes with, and again, I hope you're sitting down, 94% of patients remaining disease-free after 5 years. Not only was this approach more successful than traditional chemotherapy, but it was also better tolerated, paving the way for a more personalized and hopeful future in cancer treatment. One of the trial's participants, Catherine Whitfield, shared her inspiring experience. After 3 years of the new treatment, her cancer is undetectable. Her story highlights the real-life impact of this medical advance. She now enjoys a healthy life with her 2 grandchildren, something she once feared she'd never see. Experts call the trial a milestone, marking a significant step toward kinder, more targeted care and offering renewed hope for thousands of patients diagnosed with CLL each year. I don't even have a joke for this one. Guys, 94%? The fuck out of here. That is an amazing story. And don't think, and I know you're not a doctor, I know you're not a researcher, yada. Don't think that this breakthrough is not going to have a domino effect in some other neighborhood, some other research. I'm pretty sure that's how medical research works. Someone figures something out and some other nerd is like, hey, wait a minute. And then so on and so forth. But goddamn, 94%? Dude, this is, I don't know. If you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Okay, doesn't make sense. But you know what I mean. That's an amazing fucking story. And the number one story. This is going way faster than I anticipated. But in my defense, I think writing it took a lot longer. It's the difference between 5 stories and 10, I guess. This one I just distinctly, definitely, deliberately was the D word I was looking for. Made sure that this was going to be number 1 because, guys, you know how sometimes there's a good news story and you're like, that can't be true. That cannot be true. There's no fucking way, but it is. I left link in the show notes for all of these things in case you want to give it a Google, in case you're like, I don't know, Nile, I don't believe you. Here we go, number 1. In a breakthrough that offers a hopeful twist to the global plastic crisis, Japanese scientists have developed a new kind of plastic that, wait for it, dissolves completely in seawater within hours, leaving no trace, no toxins, and no microplastics behind. This is great news, but will make enjoying surfing a pretty time-sensitive thing. Because some of the bits of the board are made out of plastic. Created by researchers at the Riken Center for Emergent Matter Science and the University of Tokyo, the material is as durable as traditional plastics, but vanishes when exposed to salt water or even salty soil. In a live demonstration, a small piece disappeared in just an hour of stirring in seawater. The scientists also warned that the plastics should not be used anywhere near cairns because, quote, them bitches is always salty. Not only is the plastic non-toxic and non-flammable, it also doesn't release carbon dioxide when it breaks down. Carbon dioxide, or multiple. A lucky intersection of strength and sustainability that feels almost too good to be true. If we keep going like this, Greta Thunberg's social calendar is just going to be really open. Though still in the early stages, this innovation is already catching the attention of industries eager for greener solutions, especially as the UN warns of plastic pollution tripling by 2040. Listen, guys, did you just hear the words that came out of my mouth? Listen, you can put all the caveats and the yeah buts, you can put all of them, as many as you want, as many as you goddamn want, but are you kidding me? This is a plastic that dissolves. This is like a genie wish. This is a genie wish discovery. Wouldn't it be cool if they could make a plastic that just dissolves in salt water? God damn. How do we not know about this? I get it. There's a lot of shit going on, but you're telling me this isn't B-block in a news cycle somewhere? Someone's not talking about this? Get the fuck out of here. Oh God, that's upsetting. And it brings me to the next segment that I want to go off on again. Listen, I know I've said this before. I will say it again. Guys, I really don't think you should be listening to the news. I don't think you should be listening to the news. I know how crazy that sounds, and it's wrong, or it feels wrong, and it goes against everything that we've been taught or whatever. Aside from all of the reasons I've given before, right? Like there's that Guardian article by Rolf Dobelli, 2013. Feel free to Google that. Feel free to give it a read. But he breaks down, I'll just break down the headings. It's news misleads. It's irrelevant. It has no explanatory powers. It's toxic for your body. Not just, obviously it causes depression, but it's also for your body. You're fucking riddled with cortisol. You're sitting at a computer screen. Here's what's really happening. You think, oh my God, this terrible thing is happening. What's happening is you are alone in a room looking at a screen and your brain just flooded your body with cortisol. Well, maybe not your brain. It doesn't come from your brain. You know what I mean, though. It also increases cognitive errors. And I think that's because of the cortisol. I don't think it's the news. Inhibits thinking. Works like a drug. As I know, took me a long time. I'm not gonna lie, I've been talking shit here, but it took me like the past, I'm gonna say 2 or 3 weeks to get off the news teat. Now I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's never gonna be good. So I'm not watching the reel. I'm not reading the story. It's just never what I want. It wastes your time, by the way. Wastes your time and energy. Because if you took all of the time that you spent looking at bad news, what if you'd taken that and like worked on something cool? Hung out with your friends, worked on your novel, watched a TV show you like, anything, fucking anything. Just sat down and meditated. You had a mindful moment, went for a walk in a park. It makes us passive and it kills creativity. Now, I've already talked about that. That's not the point. The point is, my primary partner, hi baby. I'm not sure if she's still listening to this podcast. That's a test. If she comments on this part, then I'll know. Ironically, I think she's hasn't had a chance to catch up to these podcasts because she spent so much time on goddamn fucking newsreels. But she sent me a video So I guess not all of her videos are bad. She sent me a video where this person was talking about the social change ecosystem map, which I also will link in the show notes. Basically, it talks about the different roles that people can have to help bring about social change. It's a fascinating article concept. I really think it's cool, but so I think you should go check it out for sure. Again, that's the social change ecosystem map. Just give that a Google. Definitely worth looking into. But the other thing, once you've looked into it, the other thing you need to ask yourself is, what is my role specifically? And does that role necessarily require me to look at news or benefit from my looking at news? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. Do not do it. Like I don't know what my role is. It's this. I'd have to double check what the chart has, but it's this fucking guy where I guess I'm a cheerleader. I'm trying to help people see I'm trying to help people see the full picture so they can get into a place, the window of tolerance where they can become the version of themselves that they're supposed to be. And I suppose that's cheesy, but that's what I believe. I believe in the potential of pretty much every human being. And I hope that I can somehow kind of scoot you along there. And I think this is an important part of it. I think this is a huge addition by subtraction. You stop watching news, you stop keeping track, man. Stop keeping track. I know. But listen, it's not going to make a difference. It doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you, like, if it made a difference, again, if it made a difference, it would be all I would do. If doom scrolling and keeping track of the news and feeling fucking awful and getting filled with cortisol made any kind of difference, I would quit everything in my life. I would find a small place somewhere in the boonies that I could afford on welfare. I would get on welfare, and it's all I would do all day, 24/7. Well, not 24/7, I need to sleep, but you know what I mean. But it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't make a difference at all. So I know that's a weird thing to say. I know that's a weird, because like the visceral response is, if you don't follow the news, if you're not tracking all of the news, then you don't care, which is insane when you think about it. That does not make sense, because like, we're not keeping track of what's going on in South Sudan. Does that mean you don't care? Does that mean you're pro South Sudan genocide? No. You're not keeping track of all of the latest cancer research, except for that fucking banger I just told you about. But you're not keeping track of everything that's going on with people suffering from cancer. That doesn't make you pro-cancer. Doesn't mean you don't care about cancer. So, do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I feel like it makes sense. Because guys, I had a great week. I know there's some bad stuff going on. But I mean, plot twist, I can do just as much about that as someone who's been keeping track of all the details of the news. The only difference is I had that tiny edge, that tiny energetic percentage that I got from not getting sapped by the vampire that is media and news. And that allowed me to do this. It allowed me to do an extra long or a longer episode of my podcast. It allowed me to do a whole bunch of shit that you don't need to hear about, because my to-do list is not that exciting. But my point is, I benefited directly, and I think you will too. Just give it a try. Give me 24 hours. 24 hours, just go news clean. Just full news cleaning. I mean, like, not even videos where they're trashing people you hate. You're like, Elon Musk, his stock is going down. No, even that one. Because while you're looking at that, you're providing some sort of income for a billionaire who's probably just as bad as Elon. So just take a break. Rate where you're at. Check in with yourself, happiness, all of that. Scale it 1 to 10. Then take a break of however long you feel comfortable. Then at the end of that break, do the check-in again. See where you're at. If there's no change, I will be shocked. Guys, that's it. That's the episode. I hope that helped take the edge off. Hope that brought a little something to your day. I will be sending out my newsletter very soon at the top of next month, which I think is like next week or something crazy like that. So feel free to sign up to that, because I think I'm going to try to include as many of those 19 stories that I missed in that. So please remember also to rate and review this podcast if you have not. I would greatly appreciate it. It really helps the podcast, as it turns out. Follow me at Lausige everywhere if you want to do that kind of thing. Again, sign up to my newsletter if you can. I'm on the Beaverton, probably going back to that. We're going to record tomorrow, probably coming out Wednesday, so the day after this one. I'm so confused with time. Also, I'm in a lovely podcast, Comedians and Dungeons Getting Dragons, which is another fun existential chaser, a big dumb fun thing that you should sign up for if you enjoy good times. Please, if you got a little change, throw it my way. Buy me a coffee page if you like what I'm doing. If you think that's worth a little, I don't know, a medium brew coffee. And again, if you have, I forgot this part. I'm wrapping up. I forgot this part. If you have any comments, questions, Total Nileation, TOTALNILEATION at gmail.com. But also, if you have any stories, if anyone has any stories of anyone who's being like, just like an optimism hero, because I always tell the story, I'll give you the news story about the results, but like, it would be nice to give a little pop to someone who is trying something and either hasn't gotten the results, or maybe they won't, but they're out there swinging. If you know any stories like that, feel free, please email them to me. And that is it. That is it for this week. Thanks again for listening. And remember, if you cannot be a shining example, be a terrifying warning. Let's get it on 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3.